For the longest time, I was one of those people who felt like technical death metal peaked with Necrophagist's Epitaph. Don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of killer bands since then, but I always thought that nobody had pushed that specific envelope forward. And then I heard Arkspire. They took insane, over-the-top technicality and pushed it to the edge of human ability. We're talking tempos at 300, 350, 400 BPM. Crazy stuff. You know, if you had asked me about this in the 90s, I would have straight up told you it wasn't humanly possible. What makes them special is that, number one, they actually play this stuff. If you've seen them live, you know that they're the real deal. This isn't just comped together one or two notes at a time. But what makes Arkspire so great is that it's not just shredding for the sake of shred. Yeah, they push the technical boundaries to the absolute limit, but the whole time they keep it catchy, melodic, and musical. So when I saw that they released a full-length studio documentary with one of the best producers in the game, Mr. Dave Otero, I knew I had to see it. We've worked with Dave a ton, as well as Dean from Arkspire, and I'm a huge fan of both of them. The documentary is called Bring Back the Danger, The Making of Bleed the Future. I'm going to react to it, and we're going to see just what goes into making a record that's this insane. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Eyal Levi, CEO of URM Academy. I've been a producer and guitarist in my band Doth since 1999, and I know a thing or two about writing and recording technical metal. Let's get into it.
You know, I keep calling it rehearsal, but it's not rehearsal. It's like writing. It's like we all get together in a room and get really frustrated, and then hopefully new music comes out.
One thing that blows me away about Arkspire, and I know this for a fact because Dean's told me about it, they write in a room together, which blew my mind. It really did blow my mind when I heard about it, because I had expected that they would write this kind of music separately and then send it around to each other, I guess Meshuggah style, but they actually get together in a room and work it out together, which is even more nuts, especially considering how technical and fast this stuff is.
We don't really want to work regular jobs, so we have to tour quite a bit, and we also like touring a lot. Like, I mean, it's super fun. So we kind of have to take time out of our writing schedule to tour and support the existing music that we have. But we have written a bunch of stuff.
Just want to point something out. He was talking about them making a living from the band. I know that people like to say that the music industry is dead and there's no opportunity for artists. I just don't think that's true, because I know so many artists who play styles of music that are not commercial at all in the traditional sense, who make really good livings just off of that music. Obviously, they have figured out multiple streams of revenue. Like, I know Dean does YouTube. I don't know what the other guys do, but, you know, they figure out how to bring in money from different sources, much like Periphery does. But it is totally possible to make a living off of non-mainstream, extreme music that is kind of fringe in the grand scheme of things. If you do it correctly, there is hope. And actually, it's more possible in the current music industry than ever before.
Since Relentless Mutation came out, 2017, been on a pretty extensive tour cycle.
As soon as the album came out, it's just like, it's been crazy. You know, we got way bigger response than I think we expected.
That's because Relentless Mutation is fucking sick.
But we figured, get as much out of the album as you can, you know what I mean? Try to milk that cycle as long as you can before you have to write another album, because it's a pain in the ass to write these albums. So if you can keep riding on that cycle and you're still interested in it, then, you know, try to ride that train as long as you can.
I think that's really, really smart, because, you know, this whole thing is a crapshoot. You can work as hard as you'd like on your music. You can outwork everybody, but if the public doesn't resonate with your music, you're kind of fucked. And that's something that no amount of Facebook ads, no label, nobody can buy that. That's the one thing that you can't buy. The audience either likes you or they don't. And if you are fortunate enough that the audience likes you and you have a period of time where they're really, really into you, the smartest thing you could possibly do is make the most of that time period and not cut it short, because you don't know how long it's going to last. So it was smart of them to continue the tour cycle for that album for literally until the wheels fell off the vehicle.
As far as how it's changed us, I mean, for instance, like Toby just has a huge ego now because of that album. It came out and he got a little bit of attention because he's a shorter guy and, you know, he plays rhythm guitar, so he doesn't get a lot of attention. I think we put that album out like 2 years ago, And he got like maybe 3 or 4 messages from people that thought that he was Dean. And it just blew his head up like crazy. So now he's super cocky, and anytime we have like, you know, we'll be writing something and he'll just have to put his own spin on it. And it'll be worse. But we have to just say, okay, Toby, you know, Big Dick Morelli is in the room, right? It's big ego, so.
When you first start writing, it always kind of sucks. It's like everybody's so bloody picky, and like nobody can decide if they like something if they don't.
He's right. When you first start writing, things do kind of suck. I've noticed, at least for my own writing, and I have friends who have said the same thing, it takes sometimes a few weeks before you get warmed up into it. It's something that you need to warm up kind of like the way that you would warm up your hands for playing. You know, if you take a break from playing and you come back to it, depending on how long you took off, you're not going to be at full capacity right away. You have to get your arms and hands conditioned again. And then the mental aspect of it also needs time to kind of get refreshed and to kick back in. Whatever level of sophistication you had takes time. And when you're writing a new album or you're in a new writing cycle, it's the same thing. You're not totally warmed up. I guess what I would call the light bulb isn't necessarily turned on yet. And you just have to start making songs, and they might suck at the beginning. What I've noticed is that from every writing cycle that I personally have, the first few songs are kind of mid, and then somewhere around the 3rd or the 4th, that's when things really start to take shape and the vision starts to get clearer. And I think that that's exactly what he's saying here, is that they're just kind of going to have to trudge through the shitty ideas to get to the good ones. And speaking of riffs, this video is brought to you by Nail the Mix. If you want to learn how to mix and master metal, Nail the Mix is the place to do it, straight from the best. Mixers like Will Putney, Buster Odeholm, Jens Bogren, Nolly, TLA, David Bendeth, and artists such as Gojira, Meshuggah, Periphery, Opeth, Nickelback, and over 100 more. At the start of the month, we released the raw multi-tracks from the session so you can download them straight into your DAW and mix the song from scratch. Getting your hands on this kind of source material is an incredible learning opportunity, just so you can see what the standard really is like at this level. Then, at the end of the month, the mixer does a live stream where they break down exactly how they mixed it on the record and answers your questions live. You can also join our monthly mixing competition. Submit your mix, vote for your favorites, and win prizes like microphones, guitars, plugins, gear, and a lot more cool stuff. And your membership comes packed with extras. All the URM plugins, MixLab with over 150 tutorials, Riff Hard for guitarists, and access to our private community on Discord and Facebook. So if you're serious about leveling up your mixes and learning from the very best, check out nailthemix.com today. It's at the link in the description of this video.
No matter what we do with it, it's going to have the same sound
Okay.
that we don't
Well,
want.
that's what I was saying.
Yeah. But you were saying I wasn't trying to say that.
Now you got now you're going to
Don't fight.
Like, okay, I agree with you.
I'm on Spencer's side now.
Okay.
I
So scrap all
despised
this, I
his
guess.
guts for like a second, and now I hate your guts.
Maybe on the outsider's perspective, we've gotten better. It sort of feels like it's always a shot in the dark. Maybe this riff will work here. We'll play it. We're like, yeah, and then a day later, we're like, actually, that sucks. And it's like, why can't we figure it out yet? Like, I don't understand why it's like we're always here doing this. You'd think we'd be way better at it, but it doesn't really always seem like we are. So
That's wise, and I think that that's something musicians and creative people everywhere should take to heart. We're all just figuring it out as we go, and no matter how good other people might think you are, you don't know that because you're working on something that hasn't been created yet. You know, if you're writing a new book, you still have a blank page in front of you. If you're writing a new song, those notes have not been pieced together yet. Like, you don't have a song yet. You're creating something out of nothing. And unless you're psychic, you can't know if it's good or it's bad. So you're just taking shots in the dark and hoping for the best. And there never comes a point where you have, as they say, arrived at a level to where you're going to know that you're awesome. If you actually get there, what that means is that you're delusional. You haven't actually arrived there. You've arrived at a state of pure delusion, because nobody ever gets as good as they want to be, and no one ever gets as good as they could be. And we're all just doing our best.
do that live. You should do that live and point it.
Oh, that would be sweet, actually.
Yeah. No, that'd be
guitar,
great.
wait, guitar.
Yeah, you're like, you fuck it up every time.
I like seeing how responsive they are to each other's ideas. And it doesn't matter if the idea is coming from someone who doesn't play the instrument. Like, I don't think that the vocalist, Ollie, is a guitar player. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it. But he's giving ideas to the guitar players and the drummer that they're all vibing with, and they're all trying it, which is really cool. You can't just discount somebody's ideas because they don't play your instrument. Their inability to play an instrument does not invalidate the quality of the idea. You have to do the work to try and understand what it is that they mean.
You know, because everybody has inputs. Like, you know, Ollie, even though he's not, you know, he's, you know, not technically a musician or whatever, he doesn't play an instrument, but he knows how music works, and he'll have ideas for guitar riffs or drum parts or something, not just, I just do vocals, you know.
And it's sweet because I have no idea how to play a real instrument, but I can be like, yeah, that doesn't really sound good to me. And they'll be like, fuck you, you don't play guitar. But they're not going to say that out loud.
Confirmed. Okay, that's exactly what I was saying. He doesn't play an instrument, and they still take his ideas because his ideas are valuable. As I was saying, this band is the real deal. That's fucking insane. Let's watch that again. Jesus Christ.
Like I was saying before, it's like you can pick what you're best at and develop that. And going fast is one of the things we're better at. So
I would like to have all the faster parts faster, all the slower, heavy parts slower, the cleaner stuff cleaner, like everything that it was on the last album and everything that we've done up until now in our discography, just like more of that.
I like that idea. I think that's a great strategy. Take what you're great at and double down. Instead of trying to become something that you're not, just take those things that you've already refined and just basically double, triple, quadruple down on them. Make them as extreme versions of that thing as possible.
If a tour's coming up and if we're stressing out on the writing, it's cool to have a bit of a break, and it kind of gives us an excuse to just go to the stuff that we know really well. And sometimes you hit that break where, you know, hey, this sucks, like I don't want to do this shit. Like, you know, like no one's agreeing on anything, and you know, we're hitting a wall here, and maybe we need a break a day or two, or if a tour's coming up, that's cool because maybe we're exhausting ourselves on the writing process, and then when tour's over, it's like, hey, now we're excited to go back and write because we've been playing the same songs for a month.
You know, breaks are really, really good when you're doing creative stuff. It's true for mixing, it's true for writing, because if you've been in a mix or in writing mode for too long, your ideas can start to get recycled, like things can start to sound samey, and you can start to burn out a little bit. Getting some distance, you know, going on tour for a month or whatever, you get away from those songs and you come back and you hear them with fresh ears, with a fresh perspective, and you realize, oh, that was awesome, or oh, that sucks. But getting that distance is a really, really good thing.
The ass is always cleaner on the other guy or whatever. Like when you're on tour, you're like, man, I can't wait to get home and start writing. And then when you're writing, you're like, oh, it'll be sweet to go out on tour. So we're really just whiny bitches that complain about the pretty okay life that we have, really.
Isn't that just the human condition to always be somewhere you're not? I get the same thing when I go out somewhere. I can't wait to get home. When I'm home, I want to go out somewhere. When I'm traveling, I want to go home. When I'm home, I want to be traveling. I totally get it.
Tour's not like a creative time. You're surrounded by all these drunk idiots. It's like, how do you get anything done? I mean, some bands apparently do that. There's so much nothing you have to do. Just laying there, just staring at the roof, waiting to play. I don't know when you'd possibly do any writing.
I have no idea how anybody writes on tour. You would think that there would be time to do it because of all the downtime, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't work that way because you're either exhausted or there's way too many distractions going on around you at the same time. It's really, really hard to focus on anything except for the tour. Also, I want to point out, Enki, really, really great guitar cases.
And we've since canceled the upcoming Tech Trek tour that was scheduled for, this week.
4 or 5 tour options that we had in the works that we basically all had to cancel. That's at least 6 months of work that is gone.
That's most of our income as individuals.
Yeah, the pandemic was brutal for musicians who relied on touring and merch sales for their primary incomes. Some of them got by off of online merch sales or doing streams or figuring out other things that they could do. But actually, the people that were hit the hardest were the crew members in music. And that's one of the reasons for why touring now is so goddamn expensive. It's because a lot of the crew members, they didn't have royalties or merch sales or any other residuals or other things they could do with their music in the meantime to make money. Their income just completely stopped. And there was no telling when it would come back, as you all probably remember. So many people who used to be lifelong crew members got other jobs. They went back to school. And then by the time tours came back, they were already well into a new career and they didn't come back. So when the world came back to touring, there was a shortage of crew members that continues to this day. And therefore, lots of things got more expensive. And combine that with inflation and all that other stuff we won't get into here. But there's less bus drivers and less buses to go around. So just imagine what that does to the prices. I'm just using buses and bus drivers as one example out of many. But touring now is way, way more expensive. And it's been 5 years and it's still way, way more expensive.
Let's get that real quick and see if it works.
Yeah. It's fucking fast.
We are tracking demos today. We're doing pre-pro and finishing up some of the bass tracking for a couple of our songs.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that when we go into the studio, we don't go like, okay, we played the wrong notes in the pre-pro, so now we got to figure it out on the fly which notes we're going to play. And so if we have it sound like shit, then we can't really tell if we're playing wrong notes or right notes. So it's like we have to have it sound good. It helps. It's just like so much work.
That's one of the problems with being a band that does everything in the rehearsal space together. It's got its advantages, but the problem is it's really hard to clearly hear what everyone is doing because of the nature of what metal sounds like in a jam space. Now, factor in the speed of this music and how many notes there are. And what that could mean is that people might be a half step off of each other or playing parts wrong or not exactly right. And they wouldn't know it because all they have to go by is the last time they played it together. So for this style of music, I mean, I recommend it for any genre, but for this style of music especially, you got to make pre-pro demos so that you can be 100% sure that everybody is on the same page about what the parts are. It's not enough to use Guitar Pro or to assume that everybody knows their shit. You really need to make that demo so that you are positive, or else you're going to have a hard time in the studio. There's going to be a lot of extra time spent fixing mistakes that you could have avoided if you had handled it upstream.
Oh, another thing too is we're trying to make sure that when we go into the studio, we're really fast. So it's like you re-record the album 2 months before, and then you go into the studio, and then you're like, okay, I just played this riff a month and a half ago. I remember it.
I don't know if he meant get through the songs quickly, track efficiently and quickly, or if he meant be really fast with the hands, as in super warmed up and just owning the material. Either one of those is valid, and I think that you could interpret it either which way, or it could be both, because what he was saying is, they had just tracked the demo a month and a half before. He knows the parts. So it could mean that his hands can handle the parts because he already recorded it and now he's going to do an even better job. Or he already recorded it, therefore he knows it, so he's not going to be learning it on the spot in the studio. Both of those things are very valid and both important, and I recommend it for everyone.
We're going to Denver to Flatline Audio because Dave is like a hands-on producer that like, hey, change this, or I'll grab the guitar and do this, or well, you should try this on drums, and gave like real solid ideas. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Dave is just like the right guy. He's
handsome.
He's handsome.
Very handsome.
He is handsome.
Also, Spencer looks like a Ninja Turtle right now. He's got a little, he's a turtle. He's a turd hole in a half shell.
My favorite thing about flying during the COVID era was nobody sitting next to you. I realized that they're all sitting next to each other, but I'm sure you saw that that plane was basically empty. If you fly a lot, you know that before COVID, flights were just jam-packed, and they're starting to be jam-packed again. But the fact that no one sat next to you and planes were spacious and actually clean, wow, I loved that part of it. A lot of the other stuff sucked, but that was great. Notice that Otero is sitting there tuning the drums and changing the heads. The drummer could do that, but honestly, usually drummers that are really great at playing aren't also really great at tuning. For whatever reason, I don't know why. It just is what it is. Kind of like a lot of guitar players that are great are also not necessarily that great at teching. It's like two different ways to think. I guess it's two different types of brains. Every once in a while, you get a great guitar player who's also a great technician on the actual instrument, as in like a luthier. But same with drums. You shouldn't rely on the drummers that you're recording to know how to properly tune the drums. And that's why every single producer, engineer that's going to be recording real drums, learn how to tune. You don't have to be the best drum tuner on the planet, but learn how to do it. On big sessions with major label budgets, it's totally normal to have a drum tech come in whose job is literally to tune the drums. And I've had that happen on lots of my sessions where there's a guy, shout out Matt Brown, but who would come in and would help us get the drum tone because he was just better than everybody at tuning the drums just right. And in lots of cases, he also hit the drum better than the drummer in the band. Not always, but lots of times. And so it was easier to get a good tone from the drums and to make sure that it was properly tuned. So don't rely on the drummer to know how to tune properly or to be the best at it. You should learn how to do it if you plan on recording real drums.
What do you call them? Shots? Shorts?
Yeah, we call them shots.
They're fucking shorts.
Shots.
Dude,
Ready?
I get it.
Sounds good.
Just in case you were wondering if they were the real deal, when you watch these tracking clips, there's the proof.
There was a few fills that were like in the songs that were just by themselves, and Otero was pretty frank with me about that one's kind of boring, or you've done that before. So he pushed me to sort of spice them up, and it's funny, somebody else can just give you a little push in one direction, and that's all you need to do something totally new.
That's the value of a really good producer. I think in this day and age, with there being, I guess, more blurred lines over what a producer does and lots more bands recording themselves, my fear is always that this aspect is what's going to get lost. In my opinion, the most important thing a producer can do is to help give an outside perspective to the band, to help them become a better version of themselves, and to help them think outside of their own boxes. Like, a producer is supposed to be able to see the potential in the musicians and in the songs and help them get there. And that's exactly what Dave is doing.
9 hours a day playing like super intense drums it's not good. My left hand, especially my index finger, got super swollen. I was getting sharp pains in my right knee and my right shoulder. Pretty sure I tore something. All the muscles in my back and my legs were twitching like crazy, so I was always pushing through the pain, taking Advil, but yeah, it's done. I'm glad. Sounds really good.
So I've always said that being a metal musician is basically like an extreme sport or a contact sport, and you need to treat it as such, because if you don't, you will injure yourself. Like this style of music, it's not friendly to the body. I think drummers have it the worst, but it's just as true for guitar players. It's true for vocalists who are screaming. You have to really, really be mindful of pain and your body and take care of yourself, because this shit will catch up. So that is really, really tough to play clean. It was very impressive. See, tremolo picking string skips, let's see. Yeah, that is tough to get clean, but pay attention to how much muting there is on this guitar. So there's this fret wrap right here to get rid of all the ringy shit that would happen behind the nut, but then also it looks like a paper towel right here to keep these strings from muting out. Honestly, I would also even put a bit right here on the strings he's not playing. So if he's not playing the lowest string, I'd find a way to mute it up here, and then it looks like he's not playing these two highest strings, I'd also find a way to mute it right here. Like literally try to mute as much as you can that's not going to be played in the riff, because guitar is just a noise maker. The guitar makes all kinds of vibrations that are they're just there. It's just a part of it, and distortion amplifies it. And like I've said before, I know that playing clean, like proper muting technique, is a part of being a really, really good guitar player. But in the studio, you need to take every advantage that you can to get it to sound as good as humanly possible. And muting the shit on the guitar you don't want ringing out is one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, overall it's going really well. Toby and I are switching back and forth more than we ever have, where we're doing a lot of each other's parts. Toby, and he'll probably talk about this, has this sort of like classic death metal right hand. You know, he was taking over a lot of the dun-dunts, you know, a lot of the really brutal sounding stuff. But we just went part by part, and yeah, it's been pretty cool.
I like that. So they're going part by part, basically picking who is best for which part. And like Dean said, they're playing some of each other's parts. And lots of times you'll have bands where the player who wrote the part is the one who plays the part. And that can work in certain bands. But I personally think that the best way to do it, I mean, in my opinion, at least what's worked best for me, is that the player who's the best at the part is the one who plays it. And this requires there to be no pride or ego involved, and there needs to be good communication between band members, because if not, some people might get offended. But really, why not? If someone is better at a certain technique, like Dean was just saying, Toby's right hand is got that classic death metal thing, like he's great at the chugs. Why not have him do it? Like, who cares who does it, as long as it sounds as good as humanly possible. If the drummer is the best at it, have the drummer do it. I know plenty of bands where the drummer might be the best guitar player in the band, and nobody outside the band knows that. It is what it is. You got to do what you got to do in the studio.
My work here is done.
You're true art. Oh, check it out. So, you know what I was saying earlier about the muting on the higher frets? This is exactly what I mean. So the way that Dean had the fretboard muted down here with the towel, this right here is exactly what I would have added on the strings he wasn't playing.
Dean and I straight up, like, we're both playing the guitar for this one part, because there's a part where we had to do a slide, and the timing of the slide on the fretting hand is different from the picking hand. So to link up, it was like, well, I'll just do that picking in the right spot, and then I can move up the frets, and then Dean will move up the frets on his fretting hand.
Try one more.
Oh, it's got some really, it sounds really cool when you nail it.
The technique's there, that it's through some other songs as well. So
that's a wild sounding technique. I've never really heard anything like it. It sounds nasty. I can see why it takes two people to do it. And if you think that's cheating, just remember there's plenty of drum recordings where someone will be in the room for the chokes. Like if a choke has to happen during a fill, there are people who will manually do the chokes while the drummer keeps playing the fills. Like, this is a normal thing to do, but wow, that sounds really cool. I want to see that again. I like that he's holding down the low end with the eighth notes rather than playing 16ths or 32nds like the guitars would be doing. This kind of music really needs an anchor, or it's hard to find any sort of groove in it just because of the sheer speed. Actually, bass is super, super important in these arrangements. That needs to be the thing that keeps it grounded. They're laughing, I'm laughing. That shit is crazy. Ollie is a fucking machine of a vocalist. I am really, really floored by how good his rhythm and his technique is, as well as his speed. He's basically, like I said, a machine.
Like, one thing we were trying to do is make it kind of have more of a rap influence. So, you know, in all the like speed rap, they'll have like double pan vocals that say the same line, and it's like goes from left to right, or it's like at the same time left and right. So we're doing more kind of cool dynamic stuff like that. And he also kind of inadvertently got me to invent a sound that I'd never done before. So I do inhale screams, and I was doing a shotgun part, and he was like, hey, what if you do a long inhale over the shotgun part, and I'll go in and I'll edit out in between every word. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try that. And what I did instead was just do the whole shotgun line in inhale, and I ended up cutting in between all the words myself. So it sounds edited, but I just did it by cutting off the flow in my mouth. So it sounds like an evil robot shotgunning. And I'd never done that before, and it just kind of came out, and he was like, whoa, what the fuck was that? So then we went through the songs, and now there's evil robot shotgunning in a lot of the songs.
People who think that death metal vocals are just screaming need to watch this and need to take in what he just said. There's so much technique and thought behind doing it at this level. I mean, he's inventing new techniques. He's taking influence from other genres. There was a time period where if you said that there was a rap influence in death metal, this type of death metal, people would have been very, very unhappy. But the way that he does it is just so sick and so inventive. I really do suggest that people watch this to see what's possible with death metal.
We always want to do better. We always want to do better than our last album. And it's always weird during the writing process to think, how can we do better than the last thing? We put everything into this last album.
That is the challenge, is once you do something that's the best thing you've ever done, this fear sets in of, how am I going to do better? And I think that that's something that all writers share, is like, how am I going to top this? And really, they basically just answered their own question. It's just by getting together and doing what you do and having really high standards. Wow. Okay. So that was insane. I already knew that Arkspire were the real deal, but seeing this process confirms it. I actually know this from personal experience. We had them perform and do a live tracking masterclass with Dave Otero at the 2019 URM Summit. And with Arkspire, what you see is what you get. D-Lamb's guitar playing, Ollie's vocals, they're just as perfect and inhumanly fast in person as on the record. The biggest takeaway for me is the sheer level of preparation and the insane standard that they hold themselves to. Being a virtuoso is not enough. It's about composing, arranging, and having the discipline to execute on it all flawlessly. And that's why their music works. It's not just a bunch of flashy parts. They make sure that everything is memorable and musical, something that a lot of technical bands forget. If you love how this album sounds, learn exactly how Dave Otero mixed it. We have the full Nail the Mix session for Arkspire's Drone Corps Aviator, where you get the actual multi-tracks and learn from Dave himself. Link is in the description. So what are your biggest takeaways? What did you learn from this? Comment below, share, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.